Hey y'all. Hi, thank you for being here. I am sitting down to declutter this entire part of my makeup collection. So this is all of my cheek products. It's all of my blushes, both powder and liquid, all of my highlighters, both powder and liquid, and everything that I kind of consider to be a bronzer, although for me, because I'm so fair, bronzer and blush are kind of interchangeable. I have some things that are technically called bronzers, but I tend to either use one of those or to use a blush, and I often end up doing what most people do with bronzer with blush. So it's all mixed together in this box. This is everything. And I decided to declutter it all at once. In the past, I have split them up. I've done like a whole blush declutter, or even just a liquid blush declutter and then like a separate highlighting thing. But I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to be letting go of all that much stuff right now. This is too much for me to have in this spot. Like, this is too much overall. I know I want to reduce this overall collection, but at this point in my life and in my journey with makeup, a lot of the things that I own that have made their way into this box are really special to me, things that I really love. I feel like I know myself well, I know my habits and my preferences, and I know my face. And so I've tended to just retain things over the past year or two that I really love and enjoy using. And I think a lot of them are probably going to be things that I want to keep and keep using. So I'm making the executive decision just to let this be a long, relaxed video. I'm not going to try to rush myself. I'm not going to worry about fitting all of this stuff into a shorter video. And if it's too long for you to watch it all in one sitting, then maybe you can break it up and kind of view it as if it were 3 different videos, a blush, a bronzer, and a highlight video. And I'll go in categories, like I'll do blush and then I'll do highlight, and I'll break them up into powder and liquid so that you can view it in different sittings if you so choose. I'm excited. I feel that this is a long time coming, and I also haven't done a makeup declutter since like my feelings about having too much have like calmed down and changed a little bit. I kind of let go of my intense focus on the year of less stuff, and I'm allowing myself to love what I love. So I feel like I'm coming to this declutter with way less judginess and intensity and less of a sense of morality than I have come to some of my declutters in the past. And I feel excited to embark on it and curious to see what happens. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things, but I don't want to have way too many of them. And so I talk on my channel about the celebration of beauty and the value that it can add to a life, but I also talk about just keeping it under control, keeping overspending under control, and making sure that my collection stays at a size that allows me to love it thoroughly. If that sounds good to you, I hope you'll subscribe. Now, let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. My makeup is kind of dirty. Having it out here in front of me and under these bright lights makes me really realize that it's just not been my priority lately, y'all, to be sitting here cleaning my makeup, and it's gotten like kind of grimy as the months have passed. I might clean it a little as I go along if I feel compelled to, but for the most part, this is just what it's going to be like, and I hope that that's okay with you. I'm going to start by taking everything out of this box. I keep it in this box in my drawer of my vanity. That's why it's in the box here. But I'm going to take it out of this box and just look at it all laid out on the table, and then I'm going to decide what I want to do first. This is so weird, this stain on this Oprah blush. Some of the stuff that I've had like sitting around with some of my makeup, like some pieces of paper that I had that was near my makeup got some stains like this on it a couple of months ago, and I couldn't figure out what the stains were coming from, and I don't know what this is either. I'm gonna try to clean it off and see if I can get this clean. Helped a little bit, but it's really stubborn, this stain, and it's so weird that I can't figure out what it is. I feel like that's the best I can do right now. It's a really stubborn spot and it's super weird. I think that if I sit down later with maybe some like cleaning products and really scrub at it, I can probably get it clean. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do that now because we've got to get the show on the road. So this is everything. I think that that's everything. I think everything is somewhat in frame. And you know, it's not excessive as the collections go of people who are on YouTube, especially people who receive PR. I definitely don't keep everything that I receive, and I don't keep like every single color if I receive a whole range, and sometimes I don't keep any colors. But for me, it's too much for me to like really use. Like, it's too much for me to make real, true active use of. And maybe more importantly, because I do tend to care more about like the sparks joy principle, like I care more about the joy that it brings me and the feelings that I have about owning them. So perhaps more importantly, it's too much for me to hold in my makeup mind palace. It's too much for me to like actively and consistently love and feel like super excited about. It's like I don't have enough love to go around to every single one of these products. So some of them need to be weeded out and go to people who will be able to love them better. Okay, I'm going to go category by category. I'm going to start with blush because I think it's probably the biggest category. And I'm not sure if I want to do my liquid and cream blushes separately from my powder blushes. I don't know. I think the first thing I need to do is separate out all of the blushes and look at them all and see whether it makes sense to just declutter them as one category or to separate them out into two categories. I realized as I was sorting through that the e.l.f. Active Workout Ready Lip and Cheek palette was in a little box next to the spot where I'm doing my makeup these days. I don't really have any face palettes. I learned along the way that I much prefer singles when it comes to blushes and highlighters, and then I tend to reach for them over and over. This is so little that even though it's a palette, it can be in the drawer where I keep these things, and so I don't tend to overlook it in favor of singles. I reach for it a lot. I also often mix all four of these together on my cheeks, and so I kind of treat it like a single pan of product. Like, it's sort of like a swirled product that's separated out. So it really functions like a single for me. And I mean, look at it. It's like smaller than the Kevyn Aucoin Neo highlighter. So these are all of my blushes. I chose to keep highlighting products that have color in them that I consider to be blushes in this pile. And that's, you know, this Pillow Talk highlighter from Charlotte Tilbury, the Kevyn Aucoin Neo highlighter, as I was just saying, even this Stila Putty, the Heaven's Hue, I've realized that I just tend to wear it as a blush. I don't layer it with colorful things. So I don't treat it as a highlighter. I treat it as like the color that's on my cheeks. And this is so much of what was in that box. I'm looking just off camera to the left here at the things that I pulled out of frame when I sorted out the blushes from everything else. There are only 13 things over there off frame. So this is like the vast majority of what I'm dealing with in that box. And because it's such a lot, and because when I'm about to apply cheek products, I do tend to decide whether I want to apply cream or powder before I decide which product I'm going to apply, because that tends to be my process. I think that I will go ahead and separate out the cream cheeks, the colorful cream cheek products, and start with them as their own small category. Haha, I said that it was going to be its own small category, but we can see now what has happened this year, right? My little box of cheek products has become pretty overfull, and this is the culprit. It's cream blushes. At the beginning of the year, you may remember, I realized that I really love cream blush, but that I didn't have very many. Which are the ones here that I had at the beginning of the year? I think that I definitely had the Glossier Cloud Paint. I definitely had the Holika Holika New Drop Lumi Cheek that had come in PR from Yes Style. I had the Lila B Be Lovely Cream Blush. This is also a lip and cheek. I already had this one, the one from ColourPop. That was one that I entered 2020 in possession of. I can't remember about the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Cream Blush. I can't remember when these launched. Lauren gave these to me, my friend Lauren, who runs the YouTube channel Lauren May Beauty. And I can't remember whether it was at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, but let's just say, for the sake of it, that it was, that I did already have them. Oh, I definitely already had this Stila Putty highlighter, which I use as a blush. Tara sent this to me during my no-buy year. But I think that that's it. I think that all of these, I mean, the Curewise compacts, I owned the compacts already, but I refilled them in January by buying inserts. And actually, technically, this one's a bronzer, and it's a pretty bronze bronzer, so I'm going to go ahead and put that with the bronzers. You know, I'm not going to put it with the bronzers. I'm not going to do the bronzers separately. I think that all told, I just have like 3 products that are considered bronzers, so I'm just going to do them with the blushes. But yeah, that means that these are all of the liquid and cream blush products that I have acquired during this calendar year. And it's because I really fell for this type of product and I have really loved all of them and used all of them. It's just that I don't think that I want to carry all of them forward with me. And I also am strongly aware that I would not have acquired all of these if I weren't on YouTube and if I didn't receive PR and review products online. So the ones that I purchased myself in January are this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I bought these 5 for myself because I wanted them. I wanted to own them and love them, and I bought them with my budget. This Patrick Ta blush I bought later in the year for the same reason. I bought this with my own budget for myself because I wanted to own it and love it. These are the products that I purchased with my channel budget for review. The Danessa Myricks Dew Wet Balm and the ZC Liquid Blush. I bought that for review as well. The Glossier Cloud Paint in Dawn I got from the Glossier website with credit, like store credit that I had accrued because of people clicking through my link. There's just like a regular referral program that they have where if you have purchased something from Glossier in the past, you can share your link with your friends, and if they use it, then you get credit for products on their site. So some of you had used my link and I had credit and I used it for this. And so that is in a way getting something for review because I wouldn't have spent my own money on this, but I got it because I wanted to talk about it on my channel. So I feel like that goes in the same category. And then the Pillow Talk Beauty Light Wand. I purchased this later in the year. This is in the shade Pillow Talk Medium. I purchased that again for myself because I believed that I would love it and wanted it. Spoiler alert, I didn't end up loving it, but it belongs in this category. And then all of the rest of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, these 8 products all came in PR this year. So this is all stuff that brands sent me for the purpose of review that I decided to keep and to put into my personal collection of makeup. So what that means is that theoretically, if I didn't have a YouTube channel and if I didn't sometimes buy or receive products for review on my channel, I would have only expanded my cream blush collection this year by this many products. So I would only have 7 more products in my collection than I have, as opposed to the 18 more products that are here. And then again, here are the ones with which I started the year. But this one was also PR. And these And this one was also PR, right? And these 3 were gifts from friends who I know through YouTube, right? These are the only 2 that I started the year with that I had purchased with my own money. And I'm pointing this out just to help you guys think about this, because I think that frequently viewers watch declutters on YouTube. One of the things that can be really misleading about watching declutters on YouTube is that it normalizes having enormous collections of makeup that you constantly purge. And I think that that is normal for people who are on YouTube. As someone who receives a little bit of PR and who buys things for review as a way of keeping my channel kind of vibrant to keep things moving, I can tell you that when you're in this position, when you're doing this work, it is normal to have a pretty robust collection, especially of the kinds of products that you love and that you love to review, and then to frequently turn over those products so that you can give things away relatively untouched, and so that you can, make space to continue reviewing things, because it is a part-time job. But these are the only 2 things that I started the year with that I bought myself. So this is, in a way, what I would have had. Like, this is what would have been normal for me if I didn't have a YouTube channel. And then it would have been normal for me to buy, 6 or 7 new things this year, because a little cream blush collection of something like 10 products, that feels exactly right for the Hannah in an alternate universe who doesn't do work on YouTube. So I know that a lot of you love this kind of content, you enjoy watching it, and you can make a separation in your minds between what I am showing, what I am doing, and what maybe is like a good idea for you or what's aspirational for you. But I want to be really articulate about that, because there's a huge difference between a collection like this, which is the stuff I chose and paid for, and this whole thing, which I am now driven to declutter because there's so much of it. Okay, chat over. Let's get down to business. I think that I just need to go one at a time. And I think that given where I'm at in my relationship with my beautiful things, I think I just need to go on instinct. One of my favorite ways to go on instinct in a declutter is to just start pulling the things one at a time that I love the most, like the things that I feel the most excited about right now, that I would be the most loath to relinquish. So I think that that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this pile here. I'm going to zoom you in. And then one by one, I'm going to pull the things that I feel the most confident that I don't want to declutter, and we'll watch the pile dwindle, and then we'll take a good hard look at the things that are left over. All right, I just zoomed you in a little bit because I want everything to stay in frame. This is more, I might swatch a little bit here and there as I go through, but this is really more about like the act of sorting through everything than it is about the colors and the qualities of the actual products. So right away, right, this is the e.l.f. palette that I recently received in PR. It's my favorite cream formula ever. I absolutely love the highlighter. I love the colors. I love the way that it all blends together. I've been wearing it constantly. I can't get enough. I've already hit pan on the highlighter, as you can see, and it's got this gorgeous brown. I mean, this gorgeous brown, like that's the way to my heart. This beautiful, really natural color for me. Just everything about it is perfect. And it's the thing when I just glance at this that I the most don't want to give up. So I'm definitely going to be keeping that. And here's what springs to my hand next. It's the Cosmetics Color Drop Serum Blushes. And I'm as sure as I can be that part of the reason that I feel the way that I feel about these, which is, very excited, is that they're relatively new to me. They're not super new. I've had them probably for 2 months or like a month and a half, because Cosmetics sent 6 of them to me, and then it took a long time for the other 2 to arrive so that I could do the video that I did. I did like a really close-up, intense video of these guys. And in that time, I was testing them out. So I've been wearing them pretty consistently. It's not like they're brand new and I've only worn them a couple times and like that's why they're exciting to me. But they're on the newer side, newer to me than much of what is here. So I know that part of the excitement is just the allure of the novel, like the excitement of the new. But I do really, really love the finish of these. And I really love these three colors. I'm not going to go on at length about them right now because I did that really thorough review, and I'll try to remember to link it down below. But I definitely want to hang on to these. I'm going to keep all three of them in my collection. So I'm looking at what's left and I'm asking myself, if I didn't have those things that I just put out of frame, and I looked into my blush drawer and I wanted to wear a cream or liquid, like what would I feel the most drawn to? What would I feel the most excited about? And curiously, this Patrick Ta, it's two things that I thought of that sprung to mind. It was these Kjaer Weis blushes and this Patrick Ta blush. And I think that it's because they are so high end and I bought them with my own money. And I do really love the formulas, and I also do really love the colors. So this is Patrick Ta She's So LA. This is Kjaer Weis Joyful. And this is, I think this is called Radiance. It's the lighter Kjaer Weis bronzer. So obviously these colors are my colors. I mean, you saw it with the e.l.f. palette. It's like, this is what is going on. Like, we all know what's going on here. This is just like what I love. The formulas are beautiful, but I also value these things, as I was saying, because they have a quality of preciousness that comes from the quality of the packaging, the delivery, and the branding. And that is okay, especially when I've decided to spend a little bit more money for that reason. But you know, I feel like I really enjoy wearing these. I love the experience of using them. I've been overlooking them a little bit for the e.l.f. palette. I've just been grabbing the e.l.f. palette over and over again lately. I think partly because I just feel like this is a little easier to mess around. I mean, I do love the formula, but I also just, it's so just like ooey gooey and cheapy peepy that I feel like I can just kind of dig into it and mess it up and like put it all over. It's so creamy. It feels like the product that's in the pans is disposable in this way that these don't quite feel, because they are fancier. Although you can see that I have hit pan on this one. I mean, I've been using this, and I bought this in January. I bought both of these pans in January, and then I bought this one a little bit later in the year, shortly after he released this collection. This does have a powder blush in it, but I just think of it as a cream blush because that's really what I bought it for. In any case, I love these beautiful things. I love these three blushes, and I definitely want to keep them. They're some of my favorites. Looking at what's left, these stand out to me, these Lila B lip and cheek products. I really like this formula. I think that one of the things I really like about the e.l.f. Active palette is that it kind of reminds me of this Lila B formula, but it's a little bit dewier. I like these really, really creamy, thick and creamy, pigmented products. Oh God, I'm not used to having nails like this. I put these nails on just for this video. Like, I popped them on and then I painted them. These are the longest nails I've ever had on in my life, and I can't do anything. I mean, I literally can't. Like, I can't swatch this product. Right, there we go. Yeah, you can see, hopefully, well, maybe you can't, but you can see that the pigment is there. It's got this really rich, almost like a matte, but it has body. That's how I feel about these. And I also feel that way about the e.l.f. Active. It has body, and the quality of the product is that it's not sticky, because it's definitely not sticky. It has body in the way that like a bullet lipstick does. They feel like bullet lipsticks that have been pressed into pans. And a lot of cream cheek products don't feel that way. A lot of cream cheeks feel thinner. A lot of liquid cheek products feel much slicker, more serum-y. And stick products, I feel like, tend to also have a different quality because they're less smooshable. You know what I mean? There's just like a little bit more silicone and a little bit more like, yeah, like a little more sheerness, a little bit more slip. Whereas these Lila B products and the e.l.f. Active palette, they just have this like stickiness, this sticky super pigmented, lipsticky quality about them that I have learned is my favorite quality in a cream cheek. I mean, look at that. Like the pigment is so intense, and hopefully you could see, but it's very similar to the Lila B one, even though the color is different. Here's this one has pretty similar color. You can see how similar that quality of pigment is. And I think that one of the reasons that I love the e.l.f. palette so much is that it reminds me of these, or rather, the thing that I love about it is the thing that I love about these as well. And I would be loath to see these exit my collection, although you can already see on my hand that the e.l.f. one has a bit more sheen. You can see that glossiness. And I think that that's one of the things that's kept me reaching for it even over these since it entered my collection. Okay, so this is what's left. Actually, let's talk about Glossier Dusk because I've realized recently how special this is in terms of color. It's got that soft brown quality that is hard to find. It's almost unmatched. This is one of the oldest pieces of makeup in my collection. I think I've had it since they launched pretty much. I mean, I think I've had it maybe since like 2015 or 2016. And it's also almost completely used up, which is pretty impressive for a cloud paint because a little goes such a long way with them. But I do love the color and I am going to keep this. Another thing that springs immediately to my hand is the Danessa Myricks Dew Wet Balm. I really love this product. This is in the shade Rosewater, and this is something that it does still have. I feel like I can't open it with these nails. It does still have some of that novelty factor because I purchased it for review earlier in the year, but I just feel all the feelings when I look at it, and I feel really excited about wearing it more. I wish I were wearing it more. I'd like to start mixing it with some other things. I want to like mix it with the M Cosmetics ones, mix it with the e.l.f. Active Workout Ready Lip and Cheek palette. It's just really my jam, and I'm going to keep it. This is another similar to Glossier Dusk. This is by ZC. It's their Silky Liquid Blush in 02, which I believe is called Milk Tea. And this is another color that's difficult to come by. It's really light. It's really light and pretty neutral. And I really like that about it. And I haven't had it for that long, so I haven't had that many chances to wear it. But I do want to keep a hold of it because I remember when I was trying to decide what to do with it, when I was reckoning with it, I looked at it and compared it to several of my other blushes and I found it to be unique. So I'm glad that this is in my collection. I'm glad I decided to review it and I'm going to keep it. All right, we're in kind of a curious position now because looking at what's left, and some of you might be kind of shocked by this. I'm going to zoom you in. Some of you might be shocked by this or find this to be unexpected because you know that some of my favorites are still here, right? So the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Cream Blush in Flushed is a blush that I really, really love. I also get a lot of use out of the ColourPop blush sticks in Roosevelt. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to declutter those. The Rituel Defy Inner Glow Cream Pigment in Eros, which is like that really brown pigment, really brown cream pigment, I really, really love. I can't really see myself decluttering that either. I also love the Can Make Cream Cheek. It's a very fluffy formula, a very sort of whipped and very easy to apply formula. I often end up reaching for it more for the feel of the formula and the application than for the color. So there are several products here that I really love and that you guys know that I love. I wanted to first pull out the things that were really giving me a tingle in my loins. And I think that some of these things that are here that I really love, like this one, it's great and I'm going to keep it and I wear it all the time, but it belongs in this edit of things that didn't immediately grip me as being like so precious and so special and like just making me feel all the feelings and like sending a shiver up and down my spine. It's a little bit unaccountable, right? Because I love this. And it might just be the season that I'm in. Like I went through a season where I was really into it and now I'm kind of going through a season where there are other things that I'm wearing more that are springing more to my mind, but I feel pretty confident that it's going to come back around. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those things. Like it's things that I definitely want to keep that I feel like it would be foolish for me to get rid of. but that I don't currently feel like I love with the passion of 1,000 burning suns. So that's this. I think that that's the ColourPop blush sticks, although I might do some swatching with this when we do like the last pass. That's this as well. I'm going to keep, and the Can Make Cream Cheek, that's this as well. So I'm going to keep those guys. The Holika Holika New Drop Lumi Cheek is a really interesting case because it's almost panned. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's almost panned. And there have been several times when I've shopped my stash for this to try to use it up, and I have brought it through several declutters. I've never once wanted to declutter this because I really, really love the way that it looks. But I'm starting to feel like it's really just plaguing me. Like it's really, really just hanging on. And I think that also as it's gotten close to the end, as I've like only gotten a little bit left, like there's only a little bit left, I've sort of felt less prone to reach for it because it's like it's really lived its life with me already. But gosh, I can't bring myself to declutter it when it's so close to being completely panned. I really want to use it up completely. I've been dragging my feet. I think I need to keep it, but I think that maybe I just need to spend a solid week using nothing but this on my cheeks and then have it be done with. So it's kind of a special case, but I am going to turn it into an empty. And to do that, I have to keep it. All right, here's what's left. These are all the ones that I really don't feel like actively passionate about in one way or another. All of them are on the chopping block. Let's go through them one by one. So let's start with this. This is tough, and I'll tell you why. It's because I bought it this year. And so if I don't keep it, I'm going to be doing something that I was really hoping not to do this year, which is decluttering something that I bought myself. And I don't like that because ideally, when I buy things, I make such a careful decision, such a considered decision, that I end up loving the thing and keeping it. It can be a little bit hard with makeup though, because with many kinds of makeup, especially drugstore makeup, which this is, you can't know how it's going to wear on your skin and how much you're going to like it until you have it in your collection. You can't really know how the color is going to swatch. And I think that that's one of the things that contributes to the culture of like buying a bunch of stuff and then throwing away a lot of it, that feels sometimes like it permeates the makeup community. I don't want to contribute to that culture, and I also don't want to enact that culture in my life. But there are things that I have found out about this over the course of the year that I didn't know before I got it, that I couldn't have known without getting it. When I bought it, I did fully expect to super love it and to use it up, and I do love the finish. I feel like it's the closest possible dupe to the ones from Cosmetics. But it is so messy, and I don't mind things getting dirty. Like you've seen my entire collection, it's like kind of grimy and dirty, but this is like it's really, really messy on the inside of this clear lid. And I have to say, it does keep me from reaching for it as often as I would, because it just doesn't feel like the user experience that one would desire. So I'm like cleaning it up right now as we speak, but I just am not someone who does this all the time, who like goes into her collection and cleans her makeup. I'm not cleaning it every time I use it, and it feels like no matter how hard I try, it gets messy. And so that has like made it just not feel as precious to me, like not feel as special to me. And again, if I didn't have a YouTube channel, if I didn't have these blushes to choose from that have come in PR, I wouldn't let that bother me. But the fact of the matter is that I have too much liquid blush. I have not used most of this. Like there's a lot of it left, so I could still give it away to somebody, clean it up, give it away, and someone could get a ton of good use out of it. And I have a feeling that I'm going to be reaching for the ones from Cosmetics, which are so similar, but which I slightly prefer. I'm going to be reaching for them over this. So, if I didn't have a YouTube channel, and I wouldn't have bought these Cosmetics ones, I only have them because they were sent to me for review. And if I had just bought this instead and I hadn't bought any from Cosmetics, then the formula would be very unique to my collection, and I would keep it. But because my life is what it is, and because I loved 3 of these M Cosmetics blushes so much that I decided to keep them, I think that it makes the most sense for me to give this away. It may be the only thing that I purchased with my budget this year that I also decided to give away this year. I hope that it's the only thing. But I don't want to keep it just so that I can say that I didn't declutter anything that I bought with my budget, because my authentic feeling is that it will have a happier life with someone else. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one away. The CoverGirl Clean Fresh Cream Blush in Butterflies. I do really love this formula, and I do really like this color, but I do find that it tends to give me a slightly patchier look than this one, than Flushed. There's something about the depth of the pigment. It doesn't combine as well with the metallic pigments that are mixed in. And it's also, even though it looks brown, it's very close in color to a lot of other blushes in my collection. So the Patrick Ta She's So LA blush ends up wearing pretty similar to this. Lila B Be Lovely ends up swatching and wearing really, really similar to this one. And I do reach for it from time to time, but I think that if I didn't have it in my collection, I would be more inclined to reach for those. And I think that that's what I want for myself. So I'm going to give this one away too. This Stila thing, it's tough. I have sentimental attachment to this because Tara sent it to me during my no buy year. It was so delightful to connect with her. It was so generous of her, and she sent it to me because she thought that I would really love it, and she was right. But you know, it's the thing is that this putty formula, which I wear it as a blush because it does end up having like a good bit of color on me, but really it's a highlighter. I mean, it's kind of in the wrong place. It doesn't play well with others for me, like a putty like this. I don't like layering it over other things because it ends up giving me kind of that metallic stripe. And I find that if I try to mix it with a highlighter, mix it with a liquid, even sometimes just mixing it with a foundation product that's on my cheek, like anything I try to mix it with, it's not that it rejects it or pills up or anything. It's just that because it's a putty, it's kind of dry. It just doesn't give that super blended, extremely skin-like, set into your skin look that I love these days. And for that reason, it's really been a long time since I wore it. And every time I've worn it over the past year, it's because I feel like I should be wearing it more and I should try it again to make sure that I want to keep it. And every time I'm not that happy with it, and then I never reach for it again until it occurs to me again that I should try it again. It's just we've drifted. We've drifted apart. I think that it's time for it to go. The Daniel Sandler watercolor blush in Luxe. So I really had a lot of curiosity about this product, and I was really excited when Skin Store offered to send these to me. And I loved playing with them. I've loved having them. And then I never reach for them when it's not like a YouTube occasion. And it's partly because this color, Luxe, has ended up just being like a peach. It's like a straight up peach. And it just doesn't give me anything. And it definitely doesn't give me anything that other blushes don't. You know, it's not like unique color wise to me. It's a very standard soft peach blush. But I also find the formula kind of hard to control. It's like so pigmented and so watery, and it just goes everywhere. And it is very beautiful, and the effect is very beautiful. And so when I was reckoning with this and thinking about whether or not I would keep it, it sort of felt like a no-brainer. I was like, I'm definitely keeping it. And then every time I almost reach for it, I go for a cream or a more viscous liquid blush instead. This is also very giftable. It's in good shape. I think I'm going to give it away. Glossier Dawn. This does not look good on me. It just looks like ketchup on my face. It's so bright. It's so yellowy orange. The only thing this is good for in my collection is comparisons to other bright blushes. And I don't want to keep it for that reason. I know a lot of times YouTubers do. They like hang on to things because they want to be able to do swatch comparisons. And even though it's good to be able to do swatch comparisons, it's not worth it to me to have something extra hanging around just to compare it with other things. I'm going to give this away to someone who will wear it better than I do. This is kind of hard to decide about though. The 3CE Take a Layer Pot in Morning Skinny. It's like a really brilliant coral. It's pretty matte. It's kind of silicone-y. I haven't gotten enough wear out of this because it does have a little bit more of that crayon-y pigment quality than I think I give it credit for. And the packaging's so beautiful. I'm gonna keep this. I'm not ready to let this go. You guys, this is tough. This is tough stuff. So I bought this for myself with my budget. I talked about thinking that this might be the Physicians Formula might be the only thing that I bought with my budget this year that I ended up decluttering. But this is a real candidate for that as well. But this one I don't feel as mixed up about because I think that it's because the Physicians Formula one, I do love it. Like I ended up buying it and really loving how it looked on my face and using it, not as much as I expected to, but using it throughout the year. I think it's really special. I don't think in the abstract, like in theory, that it was a bad buy for me, but the fact of my life and the fact that I have like this abundance of stuff and the fact that I don't want to have too much is what's driving me to declutter it. And that's not my like favorite thing, to have spent my money on something and then to be like, but I just have this abundance and so I don't need to keep this. That's why I felt a little bit mixed up about that one. This is a very different story. This I wanted for ever, like for like a year. Like as soon as she came out with these, the Beauty Light ones in these deeper colors, this is the deepest and most coppery one. And as soon as she came out with them, I was like, I want that one. Because I own the Beauty Light wand in Spotlight. I own the liquid highlighter and it's my all-time favorite liquid highlighter. And the idea of having a pigmented one, like one that I could wear as a blush, delighted me to no end. I was like really passionately excited about one day acquiring this. And eventually I just couldn't take it anymore. I bought it for myself and it just doesn't look right on me. It's a liquid highlight for deep skin tones. It's not a blush for somebody who's incredibly fair, which is what I am. And it just catches the light funny on my cheeks and it doesn't look like a blush. It doesn't look right. It looks like I'm wearing something that doesn't suit me. And it's crushing because like it looks so beautiful here on my hand. Like that looks like the most beautiful blush I could ever desire, like this coppery, rich coppery blush. And looking at the swatch makes me want to keep it. It just doesn't look good. And I don't wear it because it doesn't look good. And I shouldn't keep it. I should give it to someone who will wear it better than I do. In theory, if I were a different kind of consumer, I could return it. Like I could have returned it because I kind of figured it out within the first month or so of having it that it wasn't going to be what I thought that it was going to be. But I'm trying not to do that anymore. I had a problem before my no buy year when I was a big overspender with counting on being able to return things and using that as an excuse to buy more stuff than I could afford. So I would like buy stuff and be like, well, if it doesn't work out, I can always return it. Or I would also use it as an excuse to buy things that I wasn't totally sure I wanted. I did a lot of like buying it just to try it. And I really want to be someone who only buys something if she's pretty sure or entirely sure, like convinced that she's going to love it. I really just want to buy stuff that I know that I'm going to keep and love. And keeping the returning option open, it wears away at my conviction to only buy stuff that I really am convinced that I'm going to keep and love, that I optimistically hope that I will keep and love. It kind of encourages me to slip back into the direction of buying just to try, and I don't want to do that. So part of that for me, part of this new way of life, this way of life in which I don't buy stuff just to try it, but I only buy it if I think I'm going to love and keep it. Part of that is not returning something, even when it doesn't work out for me. And I'll be able to give this away. I can give it to someone, and that's great. And even though it hurts a little bit to be out the $40 or something that this cost, it's kind of a loss. Like it's a really expensive thing to think that you're going to love and then to end up not loving and just to give away. It's worth $40 to me to not be someone who's like returning makeup it's worth it to me. So I am not going to keep this, but I'm also not going to return it, even though I bought it myself. I'm going to give it away as a gift. And this last little thing, this is the Stila convertible color in Peony. This came in PR recently, and I kept it because I really, really like the formula. It does have that super pigmented lipsticky quality that I was talking about loving, but it is less thick, kind of less rich, and a little bit more slick than the other cream blushes that I was talking about that have that kind of lipsticky quality. It's just that the pigment is really there, right? But let me see if it's a color dupe for any of these other ones that I'm keeping, because if it is, I don't feel passionate about it enough to keep it. And yeah, it's looking like it's probably really similar. Well, they're pretty similar, but the e.l.f. one is just a little bit warmer. It's like a little more peachy, and Peony is more cool toned. But are they close enough to be worth keeping? Let's look at this Lila B. So this is Lila B Be Incredible. And you can see that Lila B Be Incredible does look pretty similar to the one from e.l.f. in terms of undertone. It's kind of like between the two of these, but they're more similar to each other. There's the ZC blush, kind of similar and also light, but not exactly the same. So curiously, this Stila convertible color, it isn't like, if I were just choosing between these two and that was going to be it, I would probably choose the one that's a little bit warmer. But it is pretty different from anything. I don't actually have anything quite like this. And it's pretty new to me. I think I'm going to go ahead and hang on to that. I have really let a lot of cream blush go just now. I'm going to give that one to myself. I'm just going to keep it, keep using it, see how I feel in a couple months. Okay, so here is my new slightly edited collection of cream blushes, although this Holika Holika one will hopefully be out of my collection soon. And Glossier Dusk might also be not long for this world, but these are they. And then these are the ones that I am going to part with. It's not a very high percentage. I'm keeping 19, probably soon to be 18. So I'm keeping, 18-ish, and I am decluttering 6, but I feel good about it. This is the stuff that I love the most, so I'm happy to have a diversity from which to choose. All right, y'all, these are my powder blushes and bronzers. I'm doing it all as one. This is a much smaller category, and so it's going to be much harder. I'm not really sure what, if anything, will depart today from this collection. Let's open them up. You might say that I have a type. They're all different to me, okay? They're all different. They are all different. They look really different. That's different. They're so pretty. This is making me, you guys, it just felt like a tingle in my loins for powder blush and bronzer. I haven't felt that in a long time, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, I want to put powders on my cheeks. So this is interesting. This finger right here has on it, here I'm going to zoom you in actually. This right here is the Cosmetics Faded Clementine blush. And this on my pinky here is the shiny side of the Start Inspired, no, the River bronzer, which is Samantha's collab with Ofra. I don't think they look exactly the same, but they look kind of similar. Oh yeah, the River bronzer. Okay, so actually swatched, they do look different. This is the Cosmetics Faded Clementine blush right there, and that's the shiny side of the River bronzer. It's a bit more cool toned. So yeah, when I had them on my fingers, I thought that they maybe had something in common. And here are the other two. That's the Sundown Blush Light from Melt, and that's Clinique Nude Pop. All right, y'all, here's what's going on. There's not a single product here that's leaping to my hand as being one that I am happy to part with. Like, I don't feel lukewarm about any of them. And none of them sort of stand above the others as being like the ones that I would be the least happy to part with. Although I have been using the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Bronzer in Sunrise Light a lot lately. Like, this has been on my cheeks almost every time I've worn a powder product for months now. So this is like probably my favorite right now. But they're all so beautiful to me, so special. And I also don't feel like this is an oversized collection of powder blushes for me. Like, this is all of them. I don't have any blush cheek palettes. Like, I don't have any powder blush palettes among my palettes. I don't have any bronzers or bronzer palettes or powder face palettes or anything. Like, this is literally all of them. I am gonna swatch around and see if there are any two that are like literally exact dupes. If there are any exact repetitions here, like two that are just for all intents and purposes the complete same, then I might be able to hold my feet to the fire a little bit. But if there aren't, I'll probably keep them all. There just aren't, you guys. There aren't any dupes. There aren't any doubles. I was surprised to see that Clinique Nude Pop and Miel Glacé from Lancome have more in common than I've imagined them to have. But Miel Glacé is just a little bit more cool toned, ever so slightly. Neither one of them is a cool toned blush, but it is just ever so slightly. And they're all really pretty radically different in color, especially when applied to my very white face, if not in finish. And the ones that are a little bit similar in color tend to be pretty radically different in finish. So I'm just gonna go ahead and keep these. And gosh, I think I might be about to like start on another phase of connecting with my powder, blushes, and bronzers because I feel really excited about all of these. But before I take them off the table, I'll zoom you in and I'll just talk through them one by one, let you know what they are, what the color names are, and why I'm keeping them. So this is M Cosmetics Faded Clementine Blush, Heaven's Hue Blush in Faded Clementine. And it is like a rich kind of bronzy blush, really lovely and shimmery, although not as shimmery as this one from Melt. And it just has more of an orange undertone, but it's like that burnt orange that I can really wear more than any of the other ones here. So this one is Sundown. It's the blush light from Melt. Lacey sent that to me as a gift, and this one was PR. They're pretty similar in color, but you can see that they're not similar in finish at all. And when they're swatched, you can see that the blush light actually is like more of a bronze tone, and Faded Clementine, it's really that Faded Clementine color, that really beautiful orange color. Let's look at these two because they're the ones that I was surprised to find are kind of similar. So this is Clinique Nude Pop. It was a gift from Julia actually sometime last year, I think. And it's a pretty, it's a pretty nude blush even on someone as pale as I am. And then this is Lancome Miel Glacé, which is just like a really great go-to, just, like a wash of soft shimmery color, but it can be built up to be pretty intense on me. That's the Clinique blush, and that's Miel Glacé. So you can see Miel Glacé has like a little bit more capacity for depth and is a little bit more cool toned. This is the Chiclet Blush Duo, which is part of Samantha March's collab with Ofra. Ofra makes really good powders, just really pigmented, really beautiful finishes, really beautiful to apply. And this is a really pretty one. And then I'm going to swatch it next to this one, which is Mocha Havana Shimmer. Yeah, I thought they might have something in common, but they really don't. Mocha Havana Shimmer is just more brown. Yeah, so there's Mocha Havana Shimmer, and there's the Chiclet Blush. That's both of them mixed together, obviously. That's a really pretty color. There's the River Bronzer, Samantha's bronzer, and then this is like my go-to blush, although it's marketed as a bronzer. It's the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Bronzer in Sunrise Light. It's funny to see how light the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Bronzer is on my hand. Sorry, y'all, I got cut off and I had to change the battery pack. I don't know how much of that we lost, but I was saying that it's funny to see this Kevyn Aucoin bronzer swatched out here and looking so pale, because I tend to get a pretty dramatic look when I build it up on my cheeks. I think of this, which is the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Highlighter in Sahara, as being my really kind of like super pale bronzer. Like this is like a really easy to wear bronzer for pale skin tones. I bronze up with my neck with it, and I bronze up, like, you know, I can sculpt my face with it. You can see that even though it's supposed to be a highlighter, it's like these three colors of highlighter mixed together, especially if I include much of the darker cool toned one. That's a great like contouring bronzer for me. And then this is like my really dramatic blush if I want to build it up so they look really sculpted on my cheeks. But swatched out, both of them are just so incredibly pale, especially compared to these richer blushes. But that was fun. That was really, really fun. I definitely don't need any more powder blushes. I'm feeling like these 9 are like totally enough for me when it comes to powder cheek products, blushes and bronzers. But it's nice to like have reconnected with them just now and to feel excited about using them in the coming weeks. All right, these are all the highlighters. Actually, this isn't a highlighter. This is it, you know, it's this little Kevyn Aucoin setting powder, the Neo setting powder. It's supposed to be matte to glow, like it's supposed to have a matte side and a glow side. I just find it to be a slightly illuminating setting powder, and I do use it as a powder, so it's in the wrong place. It's not a highlighter. Oh, and I forgot this. My little guy didn't make it in. So these are all of my highlighting products, and I am just going to do them all together because, well, I'll separate them out, like, but I'll keep them all in frame, but I'll separate them out because they're just, you know, there aren't that many of them. So we have the ones that are in compacts, which are mostly powders, although this Fenty one is arguably kind of a putty. And then we have the liquid and jelly and cream cheeks over here. So let's do what I did with the blushes, the cream and liquid blushes, which is to pull the beloveds to begin with, right? So this is like my all-time favorite highlighter and my all-time favorite cream highlighter. I just feel like it's the only one that I'll ever need because it blends beautifully with other products, sets down completely, and it really looks wet. I'm on my way to using it up completely. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand and Spotlight, and I would like to just, you know, continue using it until I use it up completely. So I'm definitely going to hang on to that one. In theory, this e.l.f. highlighter here, the e.l.f. liquid highlight, is kind of like an e.l.f. version of that one from Charlotte Tilbury, an e.l.f. stand-in, in that it is a liquid highlighter, but it's not exactly the same because it's got some oil. Like, in fact, you can see that. I don't know if you could see because yeah, you can see, even though you're kind of zoomed out. Did you see how like oil came out first? It's very oil based, and so you can see that it looks stunning. I mean, it's like really reflective and gorgeous, but it has that greasy, stunning look because it is oily. However, it doesn't have that annoying stickiness that sometimes cream or liquid cheeks have when they don't dry down. They like stay tacky on the cheeks. It doesn't stay tacky. And I found that I have a much higher threshold of tolerance for products that don't dry down when they aren't tacky, but rather just kind of slick like this. And I do think that this is really stunning. I love how sheer it is, and I think it would make a really beautiful body highlighter. So I don't see this as like a less perfect version of this. I see it as being something that I could maybe slather all over my face and body. It's like something I could see using for editorial purposes at some point. I like having it, even though it's not like my favorite ever liquid highlighter and it's just the absolute most amazing gem. That's this, but I am going to keep this as well. These though, you guys, I just don't like having them. They make me feel guilty, like this weird combination of guilt for like not using them and guilt because I wanted them for so long. And then I was really excited when Skin Store offered to send them to me, and I like tried them and wore them a bunch, and I felt like they were really great, and they do give a really beautiful effect. And a lot of times when I wear them, people are like, your skin's so glowy, what are you wearing, blah 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 blah. But it's like I like them and I appreciate them, but I just don't love them, and I just don't feel the feelings about them the way that I feel about these two products. And I feel like until this moment, I haven't really seen the truth, which is that I just haven't fallen for them. And similar to the blush, they're so giftable, they're in great shape. I haven't really used much of either of them. I think that I can give them away and I'll never miss them. Oh, I was supposed to be pulling the things that I really love, and I just started it on the liquids. But let's go back to pulling the things that I really love, that I feel excited about. And you know, these two highlighters, it's so funny, these powders, I'm really into them. This Lacey also sent me, she had repressed it, and it's the Marilyn highlighter from JD Glow, and it's one of those just like poppin' cheekbones beauty guru highlighters. Like it's absolutely insane. And this is the Ofra Madison Miller highlight. It's another very beauty guru highlight. These Ofra highlights tend to also be absolutely insane. So there's the Ofra and there's the JD Glow. It's like really intense, really creamy. These, like in theory, if I were some sort of real makeup minimalist, I wouldn't need both of them. They are slightly different in color. Marilyn's more gold. I was about to say it's golder. That's how long I've been filming. Marilyn is more gold and it's a little bit thicker. It's like a little bit more creamy, a little bit more coverage, if you will, even though coverage isn't really what you want from a highlighter. It's got body. I love this Madison Miller Ofra highlight. I love how it shears out and how kind of glossy it becomes, but I'm not about to give up Marilyn, so I'm just gonna go ahead and keep both of these. They are the powder highlights that I feel like my heart double beats for more than anything these days. But I also really love having Samantha's highlighter. It's the Start Inspired highlighter, and I love that it has this pink in here. It also has that sheer quality, that really, really kind of like glossy quality that the Ofra highlighters have. And I feel like the pink, the cool toned presence kind of softens it a little bit. In a way, it almost makes it like more wearable than the other two that I was just swatching, and it definitely makes it blend into my skin tone in a certain way. Let's look at it next to this Elsie highlight. Oh yeah, this one has like more warmth. It's definitely different. Oh yeah, and much more pigment. Gosh, I didn't realize how richly like colorful that Elsie highlight was. Huh. This is like almost bronzy on me. I've never really thought of it that way. And this is hard because they are really different, and they are really different from the other two that I was just looking at. But I just don't wear powder highlights enough to like feel like it makes sense to keep them. And like these are the two that like really made me feel like, oh yes, I really want to keep more, more, more. You know what I mean? They're the ones that made me feel the feelings. I don't think that I want to declutter the Start Inspired highlighter. And it does have that like paleness, that really lovely sort of, it's like illuminating my skin in this particular way. This looks very beautiful in the swatch, but I think it's probably the one that's like the least wearable for me and the one that makes the least sense to keep. So I'm going to go ahead and set this one aside and sort of like plan to declutter it, and then I'll check back in at the end and see how I feel. I don't want to let go of the Fenty one. It's definitely unique, and I'm making progress on it. I use it quite a bit. Very wet look. I might be able to let go of one of these two, but looking at them here, it's making me remember that I did declutter my highlighters pretty recently, and that's why the collection is so edited. I struggle with these because I love playing with this one. This is the one from Fluide. It's really creamy, and the glossy look is just off the charts. Like, it's unbeatable the way that it shines. And so I love playing with it during makeup playtime. I love doing like editorial things with it, but it doesn't dry down and it does stay really greasy, like balmy, almost like a Vaseline, and it migrates all over the place. And you can't really wear it, or at least I can't really wear it like out for the day. Like by the end of the day, it's sort of like all rubbed off and gone. So I don't know how practical it is to keep it. It's like I keep it because I love it in this like impractical way. And then this one, the Jelly one, it's also really brilliant, really shiny, and it does dry down and it's a bit more practical. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep this one from Holika Holika because it gives the look, but it also has that practical quality. Like I can wear it for a video, I can wear it for the day. And this one from Fluide, even though it's hard to let go of something that swatches so incredibly beautifully, I'm gonna declutter it. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. Here's what has happened. This is the edited collection, and it's not that much less stuff. I've only let go of these products right here. So my collection is smaller by 10. And it doesn't look like much. It's not like a huge percentage, but to me, it does actually make kind of a big difference. Like opening this drawer when I'm about to put makeup on my cheeks, looking at it, these are all of the options for color, shine, liquid and powder, and bronzing and sculpting, absolutely everything. Looking at it, it does look more approachable. I feel like I can see everything a little bit better and understand what I'm dealing with more than it did when these 10 things were in there as well. So yeah, it wasn't the most vicious declutter in my life. It's not like 50% gone or anything like that, but I did achieve my aims. I feel like this can breathe, this collection can breathe. It's more livable for me. And I do feel like I kind of took myself to task with some of these things that I've been reluctant to get rid of because there's part of me that just feels like I should want to keep it. I'm looking in this declutter at the reality of the use of the thing and my actual feelings around the thing. So that is it. I'm going to proceed to live with this as my cheek collection, work with these products, and I'll check back in a couple months and see if there's anything that I haven't touched at all or that I don't still feel like it sparks joy for me, and then maybe I can let go of a couple more things. But for the time being, this feels like a good size to me, and I'm excited to continue using these products, and I'm excited to find new homes for these ones. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it was fun to watch. I hope it was relaxing and interesting. I really, really appreciate you for being here, and I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself, because that is what will make you the most effective version of yourself as you do your work.